How did a 1960s Cold War jet, sold by America to an ally, end up becoming the single most ironic symbol of Washington's military embarrassment in the Gulf? A U.S.-supplied F-5 fighter, gifted to Iran before the revolution, comes back to bomb American troops at one of their busiest logistics hubs in Kuwait? Was this Mojtaba's masterstroke, sending a relic of American generosity back as a weapon against its former owner, in the most biting coming home to roost moment of the war? In one of the Iran war's most striking twists, Tehran reportedly used a decades-old US-built fighter jet to bomb an American base, turning Cold War military aid into a 21st-century weapon. NBC News reported that an Iranian F-5 fighter jet struck Camp Buehring in Kuwait, a base that serves as one of the US military's most important logistics hubs for troop rotations across the region. Two US officials told NBC that this strike marked the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft had successfully hit an American military installation in many years, calling it a rare and alarming breach. Camp Buehring is not just another base. It is the US military's primary staging and rotation hub for troops, equipment, and regional support in northern Kuwait. A successful strike on that specific site is both a tactical blow and a profound symbolic embarrassment, striking at the machinery that keeps US forces functioning across the Gulf. The deep irony here is that the US itself supplied F-5 jets to Iran as a trusted ally in the 1960s and 1970s, before the 1979 revolution shattered their relationship entirely. The Northrop F-5 is a lightweight supersonic fighter that first flew in the late 1950s, designed during the Cold War as an affordable export jet for US allies around the world. The US built thousands of F-5s and exported them widely as a cheap, rugged, and easy-to-maintain frontline fighter for partner nations from Southeast Asia to the Middle East. Iran purchased both the F-5AB Freedom Fighter and the more capable F-5EF Tiger II variants from Washington during the 1960s and 1970s, when the Shah of Iran was one of America's closest regional allies. After the 1979 Islamic Revolution, Iran kept its inherited F-5s flying through improvisation and reverse engineering, but permanently lost US technical support, spare parts, and any chance of upgrades. The F-5 is a lightweight supersonic fighter bomber built around twin turbojet engines and a deliberately simple avionics suite, making it far easier to operate and maintain than heavier jet fighters. The aircraft made its first flight in the late 1950s and entered active service with US allies through the 1960s, becoming one of the most widely exported Western jets of the Cold War era. The F-5 was designed and manufactured by Northrop Corporation, the California-based aerospace company that built thousands of the jets primarily for sale to US partner nations. In service, the F-5 was intended for both air-to-air combat and ground attack missions, filling a dual-role function for smaller air forces that needed one affordable platform for multiple tasks. Under ideal conditions, the F-5 can exceed Mach 1.6, making it supersonic despite its age, and still capable of surprise attack runs if flown at low altitude. Its combat range runs to roughly 1,400 kilometers depending on the weapons and external fuel tanks carried, limiting its reach but not removing it from relevance on a crowded regional battlefield. The jet can carry machine guns, unguided rockets, conventional bombs, and a limited missile capability, more than enough to cause serious damage to an unprotected or briefly distracted logistics base. Analysts describe its operational style as low-cost, high agility, and suited to fast hit-and-run strikes, exactly the kind of mission that may have been used against Camp Buehring. Though not state-of-the-art, the F-5 is supersonic, highly agile in close combat and still dangerous when flown with surprise against a defender whose attention is split across hundreds of simultaneous threats. Its avionics are basic by modern standards, but that simplicity is also an advantage. The jet is far easier to maintain under sanctions and parts shortages than any of Iran's more complex aircraft. Maxar satellite imagery captured on April 21 reportedly showed 6 F-5s dispersed on alert at Iran's Dezful Air Base, a rare public glimpse into Tehran's operational readiness. Analysts note that those aircraft are just a fraction of an aging Iranian fleet whose capability has been steadily hollowed out by decades of US-led sanctions and parts embargoes. Alongside the F-5s, Iran still operates Russian Su-24 bombers and MiG-29s, as well as the legendary US-made F-14 Tomcats acquired before 1979, arguably the most famous Cold War hand-me-down in history. Tehran has publicly claimed to have ordered Russian Su-35 fighters, but actual deliveries and confirmed numbers remain murky, keeping Iran's real next-generation capability hard to assess. In a twist of history, the US Air Force and Navy today fly the F-5 only as a training and adversary aircraft to simulate enemy threats, while Iran still sends the same jet into real combat. The F-5 has no stealth shaping and none of the modern avionics found on Western frontline jets, making it look hopelessly outdated on paper against today's integrated air defenses. Yet its small radar cross-section, tight agility, and the fact that Iranian pilots have flown it for decades make it surprisingly useful for low-level, fast-in, fast-out strike missions. Analysts warn that even an obsolete aircraft becomes dangerous when it is paired with the right conditions. Surprise, radar clutter from hundreds of simultaneous drones and missiles, and an overwhelmed defender. That is exactly why the reported Camp Buehring hit matters far beyond the immediate blast radius. It exposes a gap in America's layered defenses that no amount of budget can easily paper over. NBC's wider investigation also reveals deep frustration in Washington over the Pentagon's tight secrecy around the true scale of base damage across the Gulf. A congressional aide complained that lawmakers were demanding full damage assessments while the Pentagon simultaneously asked Congress for a record-breaking repair and resupply budget. The Pentagon has refused to discuss battle damage in any detail, insisting publicly that U.S. forces across the region remain fully operational, a claim that sits uncomfortably alongside a $5 billion repair estimate.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.